Hey folks, MayHemBike here, bringing you a unique thing that I have not found online yet on how to do. I got a fiberglass hood scoop, aka Shelby Styling, from National Parts Depot. No bolts attached, just a bond-on type. It was $47 and some change, and shipping came to $64, including my tax. Shipped to my door here. Went to Home Depot, and I picked up some quarter 20 carriage bolts. See, they got the little squares on them. And I picked up some of these torque washers. Again, Home Depot. And then again, some 1/4-inch nuts and such for the final assembly to when you attach it to your hood. And I got my fiberglass Bondo here to do what normally you see on the SD brand of hood scoops that cost $150. So basically this hood scoop was, let's just say, 60 bucks. The Pint Bondo fiberglass short hair was $15. These bolts came to like 7 bucks. So if I can do this and not spend 150 and only spend like 80 or 85, I'm doing good. On the measurements on this, because it's XYZ long, let's say 27 inches long, I did the bolts at the marks here on the scoop are at 1.5, 12, 22. This is about 10.5 inches wide, so these are at 3 1/4 and 7 1/4, approximately. Don't have to go nuts here, folks. The point is, when you do this, to make sure that when you're done mounting these up, they go together like this. That makes sure that they're as straight as you can possibly get them when you set them up, like such. And that way, as you go along, when you go to actually hook them to your hood, they'll be just like buying off the shelf fiberglass scoop that's a bolt on. You'll just be able to mark it out like you see in those other videos and just push it down and be good to go and tighten them up. The reason I'm going with these is I noticed on some of the scoops that I reviewed, they didn't have these thrust washers on them. They had like no washers, and I didn't think that they would, hold without having something to grip. You see how these have grippies in them? So once I put the fiberglass down, push these in and let it sit up for a second, I can smear it around, smush it over, and the whole thing, it won't move. It'll be good to go. So also when you're tightening it down and the fiberglass is secured and cured, basically these won't move around because they're in the fiberglass, basically molded in. This, I noticed the bottom of this is not a finished product, so it's still got fiberglass hair sticking up, so I should be able to bond right to it without a problem. And again, MayHemBike, MayHemAutoWorkz. Gonna give it a shot and show you folks how to do it in case you guys want to save like 60 bucks or just do it yourself with your bond on hood scoops. When you get to the back part here, what you can do is like I did. I took a simple paint stick or whatever you got. If you want to see how far of a depth you need, because remember this is flush with your hood, as you go up it's going to get deeper, right? You see how that sits down in there? That gives me room to still put fiberglass on top and still hold everything together without protruding beyond where the flat part will be. So basically this will be still between the hood and the scoop and not be pushed up against it, and you'll have a hump in the back. You don't want that. And again, these are obviously set low enough to go along, but the back ones are the ones you're concerned about. So on the front most holes, I'm going to use probably the longer bolts, the 2 inches. As I near around the back side, I'll use the 1.5s because I don't need them as long. And again, the fronts, if they're too long after they go through the hood, I can always lop them off. But again, you don't want to come up short. You should be able to probably just use 1.5 all the way around, but I didn't want to risk it. So let's see how this goes. You got your assembly like this. You see how they go face down. Basically, you're gonna mix up your Bondo, however it tells you to do in the directions. I mean, if you guys want to bond on your scoop, go for it. I'm going for the bolt-on look, and if they're seeing the price differences, I figured I'll just get the same exact scoop that they basically sell for the SD brand, and just do it my damn self. Because if you look at the pictures, you'll be able to see how they did it. It says use a 1-inch strip of blue goo, more or less. 3 inches for 3 inches of goo. And again, I'm not a professional guy here. I mean, I've done body work and I've done auto work, and you've seen from my past videos I've done bikes and cycles and just starting to get into the car thing. But this ain't my first go around playing with this stuff. It's just I had an idea. It's like, why should I spend the money when I don't have to? And this stuff's readily available. Just save money and do it myself. So what you're gonna do is you goober of this where you want it. I call it a goober. You guys can call it whatever you want. You should not need more than a pint to do this project. If you do, I really don't know what to tell you, folks. Again, you just want to put it a little bit down so when you drop the bolts with the things in, they have something to like grab to, and you can apply more after the fact around the bolt in the assembly. So again, I would use for the very most front, I'd use the longest bolt first. 2-inch, in case you all can't see that, 2-inch bolt. And you're just going to stick it down in the goo. Make sure you got gloves on. Ta-da. Try to make sure it's as straight as you can possibly get it, okay? You'll see in some of the other HoodScoop videos that the guys put on, the bolts will be very crooked, and that's fine. I just don't want to have to drill a hole and then waddle it out to make it work. So that was the 2-inch bolt in the first section. Back here I'm going to do 1.5. Can't help the siren to go by. Again, it's a little crooked, so you straighten it up. There's your 1.5. That I meant to set up a little bit. Don't wait too long because you only get like 5 minutes to play with this stuff. It's all downhill from there. The other option would be, if you didn't want to go this crazy with all this stuff, you could easily just get super glue, as you see at the other end of the bed, and just put a dab of super glue on your bolt and you know, go that route. Super glue your bolt into position, and that'll set it up quicker. Again, 1.5 inch, 1/4-20s, just like they show in the other videos with the normal HoodScoops. Make sure you put the thingy on, because don't be like me and forget. That would have been terrible. Make sure you put the notch side down so you can actually do this, okay? And then you bind it up in there. Kind of push it down a little bit, just so the goo gets under it, I guess you'd say. Again, you may have to adjust your inset or outset because you don't really want the bolt leaning, right? So you want it as straight as you can. Just remember, some of the HoodScoops I've seen, for example, on eBay, only have 6 bolts holding the whole thing down. The SD brand had 8, so I'm going to do 8 like they did because it makes sense just to make sure that both ends are as secure as you can get, right? Because you don't want this thing blowing off, so longer is better. Just keep going along. See, this stuff's already getting hard on me. Okay, so anyway, you got the gist of it. Basically, lay your 3 out. Do 3 at the max at a time, or less. Glue them in, make sure they're setting up. When this is all set, make another batch. Do the tops of them, because you want to cover this whole entire metal area and glue it all down together nice and firm, okay? So, that's how I do it. Easy peasy, MayHemBike, MayHemAutoWorkz. Showing you how to basically convert a bond-on fiberglass hood into a bolt-on. Literally 2-inch bolts, carriage bolts. You got the torque thrusters, torque washers pushing down into it. You got the back. These two are 1.5. This one here will be a 1.5, right? Then 1.5, 1.5, 1.5, 2. Done. And once this is all set, and again, recoat it with more fiberglass bond to bond it all up nice and tight, just like you see in the videos of those others. You know, when they flip it over, you see, oh, that's fiberglass resin or something. That's pretty much what they did, folks. But again, MayHemBike, MayHemAutoWorkz, trying to save you some money. Thanks for tuning in. And I'll put links in the description on where to get the parts and all that good stuff. Anyway, have a good night. MayHemAutoWorkz, MayHemBike. Okay, this is after we had fiberglass down all 8 bolts. Threw some 1/4-20 nuts on there just to make sure the nuts are with it. Still got to get some washers. I didn't get any yet. Anyway, that's the wrap up on that. I'm just waiting for the fiberglass to dry, but you can see how I did quite a bit of fiberglass. All this fiberglass up near the front where it's really low is still below the edge line, so we're good to go. And back there, it's obviously still below. But you can see how this isn't that hard to do, folks. So once this is all set up, I'll do some wiggle tests and pull tests and see what's happening. And I'll update when we go to actually put it on the 67 Mustang that we're working on. Anyway, MayHemBike, MayHemAutoWorkz. There you go.